Is up with it, everybody? Live from the studios of WIUR here at the La Penta Student Union at Iona University. It's Woolley Mammoth Wednesdays. I am your host, Cameron Woolley, bringing you the best and only the best sports on campus. So a bit of a change of pace for me today. This is the first show of the Yankee offseason. Always a bit of a rough transition for me because my bread and butter has always been baseball. But I'm going to be more a Giants show today. Going to talk some hockey. I'm very much looking forward to it. Obviously, going to touch a little bit on the World Series because that's been happening, and it's another year where a fringe team from the NL East comes in and randomly decides to hit Houston Astros pitching. So that's just fantastic. I'm just going to go to the Giants for a minute. They lost to the Seattle Seahawks last Sunday. 27-13. The game wasn't really that close. The Giants didn't really play that well. But this game, it doesn't drive me nuts. The main things I really took away from it, honestly, were the impact that Evan Neal and Daniel Bellinger had on this team before they got hurt was massive. And their absence could be felt. The run blocking of Neal and Bellinger really helped. It really helps Barkley. He wasn't really a factor, aside from a rushing touchdown that he had in the game. And Bellinger, honestly, might be the best receiver on the team. Like, overall, out of the passing game, he is Daniel Jones's best option, especially with the offense that they're trying to run because they can't really stretch the field because they have receivers who shouldn't really be on NFL rosters, aside from, like Wan'Dale Robinson or something. But, overall just kind of a bleh type of game. Richie James, terrible punt returner. I sort of had a gut feeling going into the year that Richie James at punt returner would be a thing that would bite this team. And sure enough, 2 fumbles that basically ended up costing them the game. But Seattle had a couple of costly turnovers, especially Tyler Lockett in particular had a fumble that led to the only Giants touchdown of the game. And Tyler Lockett dropped what was just a perfect pass from Geno Smith. Just absolutely perfect. And there's all this talk about Geno Smith, like, oh wow, he's so great now. And you know what? Good for him. I'm happy that Geno Smith is doing as well as he is because he's I never disliked him. The only reason Giants fans know who he is because for one, he was the Jets quarterback for a couple of years, and the Giants and Jets know each other's teams really well because that's all there's to talk about around here is the Giants and Jets in terms of football. But he said in the post-game press conference, he said this win was for Ben McAdoo and Jerry Reese because they believed in me. It's like no, they didn't believe in you personally. You were just the guy that they happened to go to because they needed or they felt the need to scapegoat Eli Manning, which to this day is the angriest I have been at any of my teams when the Giants benched Eli Manning. I wish I had a podcasting career when that moment happened because I would have gone ballistic or I did go ballistic when I was 13. I mean, my God, I was the head of steam. I was so mad. I was texting everybody I knew. Obviously, we felt cheated. And I mean, that was in 2017. That was 5 years ago. That was when the Giants were badly run. Now they're well run. And speaking of things that the Giants have been doing in terms of roster movement and running the team, trade deadline came and went. They didn't get any receivers that people wanted, but they did end up getting rid of Kadarius Toney for a conditional 3rd-round pick and a 6th-rounder from the Kansas City Chiefs. And at the time, I was shocked that this move was made because Toney's talented. Anybody who watched him last year or in any of the few snaps that he's played can tell you, yeah, Kadarius Toney is a very talented receiver with the ball in his hands, and he has potential to be a Pro Bowl level type of receiver. But, there were certain things, and I don't like the idea of trading a receiver just because he's viewed as a diva, because we went through this with Odell Beckham. I am very hesitant to believe the media when it comes to labeling certain players as locker room issues or players who have supposed off the field problems, because most of the time that's garbage. Like with Odell Beckham, that was garbage. He was he was never a bad teammate. All he did was hit a kicking down the sideline. Yeah, that game against Josh Norman, yeah, that was bad. But he's passionate. So I got some friends back there. But anyways, the trade of Tony, I mean, I was hesitant to believe all those things until things started coming out, like on Twitter. The the entertainer, who's a content creator on YouTube for the Giants, he's very great. I highly recommend anybody who happens to listen to this to subscribe to him. If you want more New York Giants content, he is great, works hard, he's awesome. I'd love to do a project with him one day. But he posted something about Tony getting into it with fans in DMs and certain Giants fans tweeting screenshots after he got traded of Tony butting heads with fans in DMs. And if you are going to be easily rattled by New York fans, you aren't going to be fit to play in New York. And I know that's a line that has played out a lot. There are certain players who come in and just can't handle it. They think of guys like come in like Joey Gallo for the Yankees. He came in, was billed as this, and at the time I thought it was a perfect fit. Again, left-handed, power hitting outfielder, pulls the ball in Yankee Stadium, perfect fit. But he ended up not being able to handle, and he folded like an omelet under the pressure. And no, it's unfortunate. That's a thing that players that come here have to deal with. It's a certain thing that front offices have to deal with in this town. You have to do psychological evaluations of guys. Like think about other guys. Sonny Gray, and even further in this year. And I know it's a small sample size, and he's got a whole other year to prove himself. But Frankie Montas, both Yankees that were traded from a very, very, very small market baseball wise in Oakland to the Yankees and ended up buckling. But certain guys, like on the Knicks, Kyrie Irving right now is making so many headlines off of his abhorrent comments, and he's sort of folding a bit. Maybe guys on the like also in basketball, Julius Randle. When fans weren't in the building, he was killing. He was averaging a double double, 24 a game. He was great. But the moment fans got in the building and sort of the pressure started rising up, that's when he folded. And it stinks. It really, really stinks because there are some great talents who just come in and aren't mentally fit to play in this town. And again, I hate it, but it's something that has to be dealt with in larger markets, especially New York, because the media around here, I mean, we're ruthless. We are looking for the next big target. And every time it's star players. Like, I don't think there is any sports community in the country that loves to hate their best players more than New York. And sure, there are exceptions. Actually, the only exceptions I can really think of in the 21st century are Derek Jeter, because he was immortal. He already won multiple World Series championships by the time he was like in his mid-20s. And I think of guys like, Henrik Lundqvist. Like, I don't think I've seen a single New York Rangers fan say anything bad about Henrik Lundqvist. But other than that, everyone's under scrutiny. I mean, like, think about right now, Aaron Judge just came off a season where he hit 62 home runs, didn't hit in the playoffs. Now everyone hates him. Giancarlo Stanton has been fighting that demon for a while, and he is the textbook example of how to handle fan and media pressure in New York and still perform really well, despite starting terribly and having a massive target be put on your back. Odell Beckham. he was run out of town by Pat Leonard, who to this day is still my least favorite journalist in the world because he basically orchestrated the Odell Beckham trade because he had a target on his back. And New York fans who are like a little on the older side don't like the flair that Odell Beckham brought to the Giants. And in basketball, I mean, Carmelo Anthony. Everyone hated Carmelo Anthony. And I don't know what's going on with the Nets and KD, but it's complex. It's a complicated relationship. Well, any basketball fandom is going to have a complex relationship with star players because half the time that star player wants to be traded within the first 3 years that they're there. So, anyways, that's it for my little tangent on how athletes are sort of treated in New York. And there are things to get to. But anyways, trade deadline. The Giants, all reports came out said that they wanted to get a receiver. They were out, they were in the Jerry Jeudy market, they were in the Brandon Cooks market. They were I don't think they were in the Claypool market. The Chase Claypool trade sort of just came out of the blue. And with the prices that they were asking, a price that ironically enough they ended up setting when they traded Kadarius Toney, a guy who has 0 career touchdowns, for a third-round pick. Granted, it's a conditional third, and I don't know what the conditions are on that third-round pick, but it was it was still a third-round pick. Third-round picks can end up becoming great players in the NFL, including a great receiver. So, the price was too high. I wasn't gonna give up a second-round pick for anybody. Unless DJ Moore was available, which it seems like he wasn't. And if he was available, they were asking for multiple firsts. And with the way the Giants roster is right now, I do not want to give up premiums of draft capital because the roster right now isn't good enough to trade picks. The roster, there are way too many holes on it and there's way too little cap space to put a bunch of guys on the roster and trade away a bunch of picks when the resume of Joe Shane when it comes to the draft as Giants GM has been great. Kayvon Thibodeau looks like a star. Evan Neal looks like he's going to contribute for a lot of years for a lot of good teams. And he's been progressing from he had the rookie mistakes in his first couple of games, but now he's developed into one of the better tackles I've seen in my life, which, that's not a very high standard because I'm 18 years old. And the last time I can remember the Giants having 2 good tackles, that was when Super Mario Galaxy 2 just came out. So, I understand the eagerness from the fans to go out and start trading picks because the team's 6-2 for the first time since I believe 2012. And there are problems on this team. The biggest problem obviously is receiver. And they could have gone out and traded a couple of picks to get receivers. And obviously I saw a tweet from I believe it was Ryan Garcia ESM who said the Giants shouldn't be doing nothing at the deadline. If you're going to commit to the rebuild, trade Saquon Barkley and ship off Daniel Jones, ship off the good players if you're going to commit to a rebuild. But the problem is you can't commit to a rebuild and tank for a good quarterback when your team is already 6-2 and has proven with this coaching staff that they can win games against some very, very, very good teams. So, it's a tough spot. It's a really tough spot. Joe Shane and company obviously weren't expecting to be anywhere close to 500 by the bye week. If you told me 3-5 going into week 1, I'd be like, "Oh my god, 3-5? We must be doing pretty good." But at 6-2, there certain things change. And I commend Joe Shane for sticking to the process, and it's a process that has worked so far. The first draft has brought in a lot of good players like Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal and Wan'Dale Robinson and Daniel Bellinger, who Bellinger in a couple of years could be a top 5 tight end in football. Brought in Dane Belton, who's looked great. Overall, just some really good players. And Darian Beavers, if he didn't tear his ACL in preseason, who knew what he could have been? Micah McFadden had a good game this past week. So, maybe wait a little bit. And I know this is a weird thing to say, but stick with the plan of the front office because the front office obviously knows what they're doing. Joe Shane and Brian Daboll, they're on the same page. They honestly, I trust them to do what's best for this team. And that is such a great thing to say. They understand the modern game. They understand how to build this roster. They understand how to maximize the production out of the players they have. So imagine after a couple of drafts and then this upcoming draft, they have 9 picks. So just wait and see. No, next year they're going to be even better. And the year after that, they're going to be even better. And then after that, you have cap space, certain guys coming off the books. You're going to have that Kenny Golladay contract that's going to be gone very soon in around 2 years. So by the mid 2020s and maybe as soon as next year, this team could be contending for championships because right now the Giants are neck deep in the playoff hunt. And that's awesome. Like, I love saying that. So for now, and it's very possible that this team could collapse. But coming up after the bye week, where guys are going to have some time to rest up and get healthy, you have 2 incredibly winnable games against the Houston Texans and Detroit Lions at home. If you do what you're supposed to do and win those 2 games, you are going to be 8-2 going in the Thanksgiving, a big game, the biggest game that you're going to play in a while against the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving, on honestly maybe the biggest stage of the NFL regular season. The 4:00 game during Thanksgiving dinner, that is always a big stage. And if the Giants are 8-2 going into that, we're going to forget that this deadline ever happened. Here's what I have here. Oh yeah. Another thing. Also another thing that can happen by Thanksgiving. This trade deadline really made me think. And I know, like, I'm speculative. I speculate about a lot of things, but the Giants have been connected to Odell Beckham for a while, for months, ever since the Giants started well and have had a needed receiver. Everyone's been pointing, do we want a reunion with Odell Beckham? And I want it. I want it. And this deadline where they didn't get a receiver makes me think they really want a reunion to happen. Like they want Odell to come back, and it looks like Odell's open to it. Gettleman's gone. Landon Collins already came back. So why not bring back another star from those teams and bring back Odell Beckham? And it would be amazing. It would be amazing to see because it would open up this offense so much, especially if Beckham comes back to anywhere close to what he was in the playoffs for the Rams last year. So and the Giants, they wanted a receiver. They were trying for Jerry Jeudy and they were trying for Brandon Cooks. So it's clear that they want to fill the need at receiver, and Odell Beckham just might be that guy because he's going to be coming back from injury very soon, and he'll be a help to any team that needs receiving help who is in the hunt to get to the playoffs. And the Giants, they fit that bill. And Odell, he's really good friends with certain guys on Twitter. He's been flirting with teammates. So there's a lot to be excited about. And if it does happen, awesome. If it doesn't, oh well. Anyways, just gonna improvise here for a bit. Let's talk some hockey. I would love to talk some hockey for a little bit. Actually, no. Before we get to hockey, I'd love to talk about this World Series because, it is part 3 of fringe team from the NL East versus the Houston Astros. And last night was maybe one of the worst beatings a pitcher has ever taken in the World Series. Lance McCullers gave up 5 home runs. 5. And obviously, I'm sitting here looking at Bryce Harper going deep every game, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, he wanted to be a Yankee. Like, and all I'm thinking, and like, baseball has been warped in my mind so much by the Yankees failing to win and by the Yankees passing up on guys in free agency. And Bryce Harper, he's one of those guys. In 2018, the combined salary of a role, or not in 2018, yes, in 2018, the combined salary of Zach Britton, actually, no, 2019, sorry, wait, I am getting so many things mixed up. But in 2019, the year Harper signed with the Phillies, the combined salary of Zach Britton and Aroldis Chapman, liabilities out of the back end of the bullpen, were getting paid more than Bryce Harper. Now, this is the Bryce Harper 2021 NL MVP Bryce Harper. I believe NLCS MVP Bryce Harper. Actually, no, don't hold me to that. I gotta look this up. My internet's down right now. Hold on a second. The Wi-Fi here is weird, at least on my laptop. I have to reconnect to it there. Please hold for a second. See, I'm getting so much mixed up. Yeah, Bryce Harper was the NLCS MVP. So when I look at guys who the Yankees could have easily gotten, and I look at how they're doing right now as opposed to how the Yankees are doing, it makes me frustrated. And it makes me even more frustrated that the people who were in charge of mismanaging this roster are going to have jobs for life. But overall, the Phillies, they're looking great. And Citizens Bank Park, I mean, that ballpark in Philly, my God. I mean, we should have known that Philadelphia, they were going to bring it. And as much as I can't stand watching teams from Philadelphia succeed, I'm going to hate the Eagles forever. I'm going to hate the Flyers forever. And because the Phillies are in Philadelphia, I'm going to have a tinge against them. Sure, I don't have that much against them. Yankee fans don't really have a reason to hate the Phillies. So I'm just going to be like, meh. But I think it's like, oh, wait, their fans are also Eagles fans and Flyers fans. So I'm going to be like, oh, wait, maybe I don't want them to win. But I want them to beat Houston. Like, I don't want Houston to win. I mean, sure, Houston losing doesn't do anything for me because I know the Yankees are essentially their version of the Twins to us. Like, it's like every time we walk into Houston, it's a death trap. Like, the Yankees go in Houston, they fold. They get beaten, they get swept, and especially in the playoffs. And that is what is going to happen forever and ever and ever and ever. Like, the Yankees are going to be in the spot for decades. Like, it's not going to get better. Like, I don't know why I turned this into a thing about the Yankees, but I just look at our team succeeding and I get jealous. Now, sure, the Yankees, 27 championships, but, those championships, they mean nothing to me. And as much as I want Yankee Stadium to be like Citizens Bank Park or like Minute Maid Park, it's not. It's just not. We're going to be on the sidelines for this for a very, very, very long time. The Yankees are going to be on the sidelines. Yeah, anyways, that was my little spiel about the World Series in baseball. Let's talk some hockey for a bit. We got a few minutes left, only not going to be here for very much longer. But, one thing you're going to learn about me as hockey season goes on, I'm a big fan of the New Jersey Devils. I know, the Devils fan. I know, we exist. We exist. We are very much real. And, another team that has been very much real to begin the year has been the New Jersey Devils. And sure, I'm going to talk about the Rangers as well, because that is the primary team around here. I know I am very deep in the enemy territory when it comes to hockey, but the Devils, they're 7-3. They're coming off of 2 incredibly dominant wins against the Columbus Blue Jackets, who have always given them issues, and the Vancouver Canucks in Vancouver, a place that the Devils have not been treated well at. Like Western Canada, the Devils maybe squeak away with one win on that road trip every year, but the the Devils went in, and then the second period it was 4-0. The game was over, and the Devils were asleep at the wheel for most of that game. But when they woke up, they cashed in on their chances, and it was 4-0. I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, this team might actually be good. And the advanced metrics show that the Devils they generate chances by expected goals or on natural stat trick money puck. Every single advanced nerd hockey site says that the Devils generate more chances than everyone in the league. And more importantly, they allow the least expected goals per 60 minutes at even strength than every other team in the league. So the trade for John Marino and offloading Ty Smith has been maybe one of the best trades I've ever seen from the Devils, because Marino has been a godsend everywhere. He has put so many great teams, like great offenses. They shut out the Colorado Avalanche, defending Cup champions. Mind you, the Colorado Avalanche, Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen. Like no slouch. Kel McCarr. Like those are big time players. And the Devils went in and they shut them out, mostly doing parts of guys like John Marino on the penalty kill and other guys who are blossoming into stars. Jesper Bratt is 4th in the league in points. 4th. And I believe he's second in assists, only behind Connor McDavid. And Connor McDavid, the fact that Connor McDavid is the only exception on a list, that means you're a pretty good hockey player. And also Jack Hughes with, I believe, 7 points in his last 4 games. He's killing it like you knew he would. And Nico Hischier, he's at a point a game basis. I love Nico Hischier. He's my favorite player. And I always knew he had this in him. Ever since the All-Star break last year, he was at a point per game pace, and he's keeping it up. For a 2-center, that's amazing. And this is with Andre Palat going down for groin surgery, and Fabian Zetterlund has stepped in and Nico Hischier's wing and has done just as good a job. And you talk about guys like Dawson Mercer, Yegor Sharangovich, Eric Haula, who has been quietly very good, like at the third line, but even though he's been playing with Hughes lately, but that's because Lindy Ruff doesn't know how to cook up proper lines. You have other guys, Jesper Boquist, Miles Wood on the 4th line, Nate Bastian, just so many good players who are playing well. And the defense, oh my goodness, the defense. Jonas Sigenthaler might be the best shutdown left-handed defenseman in the entire league. Dougie Hamilton, you know what he brings. He's a shot machine. All he does is shoot the puck and generate opportunities from the right side of the point. And not for nothing, he's kind of okay defensively. But that's okay when you have Jonas Sigenthaler on the other side of your pairing taking care of all the defense. So you can just do your thing and shoot the puck. And then on the second pairing, you have Ryan Graves, who's, not great, but he's also not terrible. And then you have John Marino, who's been I've talked about him. We know what John Marino can do as a defenseman. He is just incredible. He's back there. He is making so many plays. He is doing what he needs to do. And he had a great stretch pass last night to Jesper Boquist on the Sharangovich goal that made it, I believe, 4-0. Yeah, the Mercer goal was shorthanded. That made it 3-0. And Sharangovich's goal made it 4-0. That basically put the game away. But John Marino, the only thing he can't do is shoot. And Marino hasn't really been shooting the puck. He's been passing and he's been defending, which is what they brought him here to do. And he's been doing it at a level that nobody here expected. And now on the third pairing, you have Brendan Smith, who, the penalties, they've been bad. Brendan Smith, he's a bad hockey player, but in a few months, he's going to be replaced by Luke Hughes anyway. So that's good. And you have Damon Severson, who, as a top 4 defenseman, I don't like him, but on the third pairing, he fits perfectly. Because Severson, when he's on the third pairing, matched up against our team's scrub players, he's going to be doing a good job. And the goaltending for the Devils, they have Blackwood, who has been playing better lately. He had a decent game last night. And you have Vitek Vanacek, who's been solid. But, all the Devils need is league average goaltending if their skaters are playing the way they're playing right now. And this is and this is not factoring in potential deadline acquisitions oh god, man, could you imagine Timo Meier on this team? Like Timo Meier on the New Jersey Devils with Nico Hischier, that would make this top six all of a sudden one of the most lethal units in the league, if it isn't already. And overall, I'm just so happy that I can talk about the Devils being this good because, sure, the Devils have had good starts in recent years and it's fallen apart. But you know what? This year it's different because the Devils in other hot starts would have been carried by unsustainably great goaltending from Mackenzie Blackwood. And then it would have fallen apart when they regressed to the mean. But the Devils, their peripherals show that this is legit. They're legit. And the peripherals even show that they're underperforming a bit, even though they are basically leading the Metropolitan Division. So other teams in the division who are playing well are going to regress to the mean, and the Devils might positively regress. Now, sure, I might have just jinxed the team into oblivion, but what? I'm just going by what the numbers are saying right now. And the numbers are saying that the Devils are a wagon. It's fun. It's fun. I'm having fun watching hockey. First time in a while. Let's look at these NHL standings because I want to start talking some puck. Literally, one of the titles of this podcast is Puck Season because it is Puck Season. Hockey, it's an underrated sport. It's a great sport. Everybody needs to know more about the great sport of hockey. Anyways, as I reconnect to the internet, I will pull up the NHL standings very soon. There we go. There we go. I'm going to look at these standings right here. The Devils are tied for first in the Metropolitan Division with the New York Rangers, who as expected, have come out great. 6-3-2. They're very good. Made the Eastern Conference Finals last year. We know how good they can be. Shesterkin, still Shesterkin. I'm going to look at these player stats right now. Artemi Panarin, 16 points in 11 games. Very good. Mika Zibanejad, 13 points in 11 games. Vincent Trocheck, their big free agent signing, 9 points in 11 games. Adam Fox, 9 points in 11 games as well. He's always been great from that right side of the defense. And Chris Kreider, 50-goal scorer, has 8 points in 11 games. And then the list goes down from there. I do like seeing Capo Caco only having 3 points in 11 games. But, that's just me being a Devils fan. But we're going to be talking a lot more hockey. We're going to be talking a lot about it in the coming months. This is sort of what the show is going to be like from here on out. Going to be talking a lot of football and a lot of hockey. So it's going to be fun. I can't wait. I can't wait to talk more football and more puck with you guys. And that'll about wrap things up here from the studios of WIUR at the La Penta Student Union at Iona University. This has been Woolley Mammoth Wednesdays. I'm your host, Cameron Woolley. And as always, have a good evening and take care.